It's the utter thumping boredom of the narcissist. She's got one topic, herself, and one speed, and it's how awful it is to be her. But don't you want to look like her and go to her affiliate link and buy the outfit that she wore at Bondi Beach?
So Meghan and Harry just completed their unofficial Australia tour, and it's been an absolute disaster. They're being called pay-per-view royals after charging fans thousands while delivering almost nothing. Royal commentator Maureen Callahan is devastating in her takedown. Let's break this down.
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry reportedly snubbed by the Irwin family during their Australia trip after hoping to visit the Australia Zoo and connect with Robert Irwin. According to claims, the Irwins declined because of their longstanding loyalty to the monarchy and close ties with Prince William. You know, Robert works on Earthshot pretty closely with Prince William, and they did not want to risk ruffling feathers with the royal family.
The Irwin snub is massive. Robert Irwin works directly with William on Earthshot Prize conservation projects. When even Australia's most beloved family won't touch you because of royal loyalty, that's your international reputation in free fall. The isolation is complete.
You know, it's a small club. Famous children of far more famous parents, far more influential parents. I'm sure Robert Irwin does very good work, but his father was like a global star, who die young and in unthinkably tragic circumstances. And that you would think would have been a connective tissue. But Harry is so damaged. And he and his wife are just so completely radioactive at this point.
Brilliant comparison. Robert lost his father at 8, but channeled that tragedy into positive conservation work. Meanwhile, the other lost his mother and weaponized that grief to destroy his own family. One builds legacies, the other burns bridges.
And I would bet, by the way, that Robert Irwin, just my supposition, has far more in common with Prince William because they both are resilient. They both are survivors. They do not dwell in what they don't have. They dwell in what they've been given and in their roles on the world stage to try to give back. So why would Robert Irwin want to meet with a loser like Harry?
Exactly right about winners versus losers. William and Robert both inherited massive responsibility young, but rose to it. They focus on service, not self-pity. Why would successful people want to associate with someone who monetizes victimhood?
It's incredible how arrested he is, how completely wedded he is to this version of events, which is ahistorical. It's not true. My understanding, tell me if I'm wrong, Kinsey, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Didn't William look at the autopsy report?
They both had access to numerous reports that circulated because remember, Mohammed claimed that the royal family had killed Princess Diana for a while.
This is crucial. Both brothers had identical access to Diana's autopsy and inquiry reports. One accepted the tragic truth about paparazzi and drunk driving. The other chose conspiracy theories because they better serve his victim narrative and blame game.
And he doesn't blame the royal family. You know, the overarching need Harry has to blame the royal family is that he is the spare. Mm-hmm. He is forever in his mind number 2, useless, redundant, not as important as his brother. And I really think this is the wellspring of the rage. It's not that he truly believes being a royal killed his mother, because if he truly believed that, he would not allow his wife nor his children to carry royal titles. None of it makes sense.
The logical inconsistency is glaring. If being royal truly killed Diana, why do the children still carry prince and princess titles? Why not renounce everything? Because the titles are valuable. They just want to monetize them differently.
And you know, I believe Meghan is a malignant narcissist, because even to narcissists, other people aren't really people. They're trophies, they're things to be owned, they're possessions, or they're props. Harry's a possession, hence we're always touching and grabbing and claiming ownership. And the children, even though they're children who are suffering with and fighting cancer, they're props. They're props for her.
The narcissist analysis hits perfectly. Notice the constant physical possessiveness, always touching, grabbing, controlling, and exploiting sick children for photo ops while William and Catherine actually battle cancer privately shows the moral chasm between them.
Meghan Markle is absolutely buzzing after she and husband Prince Harry returned home from their trip to Australia. That does feel like something Meghan Markle would be doing. In her mind, this source says, in her mind, it proves everything she's been saying all along, that she doesn't need the palace machine to shine because she just naturally connects with people in a way that feels far more authentic and modern. Did she say this herself? She loves to tell us how authentic she is. The source also says the outpouring of love they've gotten in Australia has really lit a fire under her, and she wants to keep the momentum going. There are plenty of places to travel to next. Harry sees this quasi-royal life as his destiny and the direction he wants to go.
This screams like a planted story from their camp. The desperate spin that getting ignored on an Australian beach proves their authentic connection with people is delusional. Nobody wanted selfies because nobody cared they were there.
You know, when your entire entourage of bodyguards and security is leading you across a beach in Australia, and there is an immovable woman in a bathing suit laying on her belly, reading a book or journaling or whatever, and she barely lifts her head to see this chaos and like goes right back down to her business. That says you are irrelevant. Or when people immediately ascribe the worst motives to you in visiting a children's hospital and insisting that the children who have cancer remove their masks for your photo op, or when you show up to a homeless shelter wearing clothing and jewelry that equal the down payment of a house, or when you arrive for your walkabout in Sydney to nobody there, so it's not a walkabout anymore, it's if a tree falls. If that is what you consider a resounding success, and the expression and outpouring of love and support for you, I love this for her.
That woman on the beach, not even looking up, is the perfect metaphor. Massive security detail, international media coverage, and the Australian public literally couldn't be bothered to lift their heads. That's not success. That's irrelevance.
Like, I'm not dumb, but I did struggle to find positive coverage of Meghan Markle in Australia. So what is she saying? Also, what's the strategy behind going to Australia and complaining in so many different venues? Talking to these children that, you know, they're struggling with student loans, or their credit card was declined when they went to get gas recently, about how she's the most trolled person in the world, sitting at her Best Life conference, talking about how ever since Harry and her, ever since they picked each other, people have been mean to her. Harry complaining about royal life. That is not a winning strategy. And we hear in Betrayal that Dr. Sophie Shandaka approached Harry and said, you need to focus on winning. You need to focus on the future. You need to be a motivational speaker, be positive. How is that not to quote Justin Bieber, how is he not clocking that? How is he not clocking that he has to pivot and be more positive?
Spot on about the tone deafness, complaining about trolling to people with declined credit cards, whining about royal life to struggling students. It's sociopathic. Even their supporters told them to pivot positive, but narcissists can't help themselves.
I think he and his wife truly see the world through the lens of victimhood. I think they love it. I think they love being martyrs. I don't understand what you think is appealing about moaning when you live in a mansion that has 14 bathrooms, you know, is worth $14 million. You're doing Harry, so per this source that is definitely not named Meghan Markle, feels the quasi-royal life is great for him, even though he says in Australia, I hated being a royal and it killed my mother. Well, which is it? It can't be both. And then Meghan goes, it's the utter thumping boredom of the narcissist. She's got one topic, herself, and one speed, and it's how awful it is to be her. But don't you want to look like her and go to her affiliate link and buy the outfit that she wore at Bondi Beach?
The affiliate link comment is brutal but accurate. Even the victim narrative gets monetized. 14 bathrooms and $14 million. But still the eternal victim. The narcissist playbook. One topic, one speed. Maximum boredom.
And I loved to, as well, the, sorry, not to be redundant, but the report that she stayed only 2 hours at that $3,000 per head. It was billed ahead of time. Join Meghan for, quote, a girls' retreat like no other. Now, if you want to say that a 3-day retreat in which the guest of honor, who everyone's paying top dollar for, sits there for 2 hours total, okay, that is a girls' retreat like no other. Do you know? It's just like, I don't, and Harry, he spoke at an event, mental health, $1,000 a head. Yeah. I mean, who are these people who are still paying this amount of money? These two are laughing at them.
Yeah. No, we are too. We are too. A girl, that's false advertising. Come spend a weekend with Meghan Markle and then you accidentally nap too long and you've missed Meghan Markle throughout the entire weekend. I would be absolutely livid, but I also would never be stupid enough to pay money to go hang out with Meghan Markle. I'd rather die in a fire.
$3,000 divided by 2 hours equals $1,500 per hour to hear someone complain. That's fraudulent. These people paid premium prices for a weekend retreat and got less time than a dental appointment. Absolutely criminal behavior.
Dropped her.
Right.
That's it. They have nothing else in their well. And I think they've got to convince themselves that Australia was a success, even though the press dubbed them the ginger and the whinger. I hear from a lot of people in Australia, a lot of our Australian Nerve viewers who say that there was another on-air personality. It could have been Rita Pahani. It wouldn't surprise me. I love her. Who called them pay-per-view royals, which I think is amazing. That petition, 45,000 people strong at last, report who said we do not want them here, nor do we want our tax dollars paying for their security.
The Australian media dubbed them the ginger and the whinger. That's their international brand now. 45,000 signatures demanding they leave shows massive public rejection. Yet they're spinning this catastrophe as triumph. Pure delusion.
And Ed Sheeran, I think, was living with Courtney. Like, does that not tell you that these are people not to be trusted?
For sure.
That they cannot keep a confidence, that they don't understand. Like, you enter somebody's private residence, like, that is a level of trust that has been extended to you, and you respond accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned some of the feedback coming out of Australia. The Independent grabbed one of the quotes, and I thought you would think this was funny, from Claire Harvey. She's the editorial director of the Australian newspaper. And she said, the crowds consisted of this who were gathering.
This directly violates Queen Elizabeth's final edict about no half-in, half-out arrangements. She explicitly forbade this exact behavior, and they're essentially saying her wishes mean nothing. William, as future king, won't forget this disrespect.
Well, like all narcissists, true malignant narcissists, they never admit that they're wrong. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always the rest of the world doesn't understand them, or it's why Meghan's constantly reintroducing herself to us and like telling us her story over and over, because she thinks that this time is the one that'll stick and we will all change our minds and come to realize how wonderful she is and that she should be the Queen of England. I don't think the palace is going to do anything.
The constant reintroduction is textbook narcissism. They genuinely believe if they just tell their story one more time, everyone will suddenly understand their brilliance. Charles might tolerate it, but William won't as king.
These two cannot help themselves. They're destroyers. They are destroyers.
Callahan nailed it. they're destroyers who can't help themselves. They've burnt bridges with the royals, Hollywood, and now Australia. The isolation is self-inflicted and complete. This devastating analysis exposes their fundamental toxicity.